Beautiful scenes here in Toblach for the team sprint event after the individual sprint yesterday. The air temperature at -3.9. This is the sort of weather that we've been waiting all winter for, and hopefully the snow is now here to stay. Just about all the Alps getting covered in snow. Let's have a look at the course. A familiar racetrack, 3 climbs in all on the 1.3-kilometre loop, and then we'll explain the format for the team sprint.
Patrick, I think this has to be viewed, and it is by a lot of the athletes, as one of the easier sprint courses. You can see the initial little climb, a lot of flat, another climb, followed up with a third climb, and actually technical, but not a difficult approach to the lap itself.
Well, here are the teams, 2 in a team in the team sprint, as I'm sure you're familiar with, and the ladies' final. Norway always dangerous. Sweden looking for a little bit of history. They could become the first team ever to win 3 successive team sprints. See how they get on. The United States with Caldwell and Keegan Randall, who's on her comeback. Christopherson and the younger Weng racing for Norway too. Teams are limited to 2 entries. Slovenia with Viznar and Lampitz will certainly do well to finish in the top 5.
And I think the new rules, where we used to see some 3 teams from each nation, sometimes 4 teams from each nation, I think restricting this season to only 2 teams is a good thing. Keeps it crisp and less confusing. Yeah,
I'm with you, and I think it's a bit of an insult to the rest of the teams when you know, you can have Norway 1, 2, 3 all in the top 4 of the finishing. It slightly detracts from the international spirit that we like to see on the cross-country racing. Take nothing away from Norway. They've been immensely strong over the years. Not quite as dominant in the women's tour this year, Mike, missing Bjørgen on and off, who's being selective about her racing. But of course, Therese Johaug, the winner of the overall World Cup last year, banned for the season.
Banned for the season, so a big loss. Although, of course, she wasn't an out-and-out sprinter. But yes, the Norwegian team has seemed to be in the women's field a little weakened by both those events.
Well, the teams qualified for the final. We've just seen a list of all of them. Norway wearing bib number 1.
And it's real winter here, isn't it? Jackets are on in the warm-ups. Well, -3, 4, not that bad, but it certainly has that feeling and look of real winter once again.
So each athlete skiing 1.3 kilometres on 3 occasions, so it's pretty much an interval session with exactly the same time on as off. And anyone who's done intervals knows that when you've done your minute and you only get a minute's rest, the minute's rest seems to go quicker than the minute that you're out on the track. So 6 times 1.3 in total. Jakobsen going first for Norway. They'll certainly be, you know, amongst the favourites. World Championships won by Østberg and Faller for Norway. They have Jakobsen racing today, wearing bib number 10. That's Sweden with Ingmar's daughter and Falk, a dangerous team always. As I mentioned, they've won the last 2 World Cups. Team 11 on the left, Germany with Denise Herrmann, who's tried her hand at biathlon, back on the cross-country skis today, and Sandra Ringvald taking the second leg. The Russians, Belorukova, who's been outstanding this year. Natalia Matvieva, very, very experienced Matvieva, so Russia certainly won't start this race thinking they're going to be beaten by the Scandinavian teams. A long hold for the start. Tactics, Mike?
It's tough. You have to get away early, and that's why they were so nervous. 15 side by side is a very it's a very difficult track to pass, so there'll be a mad dash at the start.
No race has ever been started by the ringing of a cowbell, but it fooled 3 or 4 of them. And it's funny, isn't it, Mike? Once one athlete goes, the rest respond. I'm glad they didn't call it back, because it won't actually make any odds in the end. The French at the back of the field at the moment. France wearing bib 7, Claudel and Bouillet. And Germany with Denise Herrmann looking very strong out front. I wonder how she's going to respond after a bit of experience on the biathlon. And when you're involved in a sport with 2 disciplines, Mike, one has to suffer. Like the cross-country skiing, you cannot do as much because you've got to spend a certain percentage of your time shooting.
Very much, and of course the different weight. When you're carrying almost 4 kilograms high up on your back, Denise, her rhythm, her routine has slightly changed from having a summer and the first part of the winter just with a rifle on her back.
And you actually end up as a strong athlete, but the downside is that your tempo, you're not happy skiing with the tempo that most cross-country skiers use.
It takes some time, doesn't it? We've seen biathletes going to cross-country skiing. They need a couple of races to get that new rhythm and feel on the skis. I thought this first lap would be a lot faster. It seems a little tactical.
The majority of the field not involved through to the very end of the Tour de Ski. Interested to see that Alex Harvey is racing for Canada. He had a pretty good tour, but he did look tired on that final climb, so we'll see how he recovers. Ustiagov racing yesterday, Mike, in the individual, blown away in the qualification, still not recovered from his efforts.
Do you know, I would imagine that'll be the only time he'll ever be last on a qualifying in a sprint competition. He was last by a huge margin as well.
What do you think the logic behind the entry? Is it an appearance fee that he came for?
I did wonder, but I don't think so. I think he really tried, but his body, from what I heard, he really tried, but his body was just completely empty. But on the other hand, Alex Harvey was in the same boat. He did the whole of the Tour de Ski, and Valias, and they both did quite well yesterday. Yeah,
Valias did 4 legs of the Tour. He's racing teamed up with Alex Harvey. Alex Harvey, of course, former world champion, but we should be focusing on the women's race. Nothing between the teams, which indicates that the pace is not too stiff at the moment. And the French bringing up the rear at the moment with Delphine Claudel, Norway leading. Astrid Jakobsen just where she wants to be. It'll be interesting to see even when she makes the break for the Norwegian team. But at the moment, the Swedes are looking strong. Sweden won with Ingmar's daughter wearing bib 10. Sweden 2 with Anna Divik wearing bib 13. She comes from Falun, which of course is where the last World Championships was held.
Well, same order, same old, I was going to say. Jakobsen, the Norwegian team, 3:04.04. Not the fastest time, comparing it to yesterday as well, around the same course.
I really like the wide handover box, Mike, especially in races like this. You need plenty of space. We've had mayhem in a number of sprint races over the years, but plenty of width here allows the athletes to get away cleanly, and Germany are the team that nip into front. Sandra Ringwald now on the track for them from Schonach. That's a resort better known for its Nordic combined facilities.
It is indeed. I'm a little surprised that Fala, she was handed over to in first position, but very quickly she's been pushed down to third position. I thought she might want to lead and use that dynamic attacking tempo which she normally has.
Well, she's got to go around 3 times. So effectively you're doing the first round, the semis and the final, but in the space of what's it going to be? Around 18 minutes we're expecting for a winning time. So 3 minutes for each lap, 1.3 kilometers. It should be somewhere around there. And so Fala looking for position rather than looking to try and make a break, and maybe decided, okay, I'll try and make my break on the penultimate lap or the final lap. I don't know how she's likely to play it.
Well, I'm sure she's got a strategy built in there. I saw a little bit of hand out. You're not really supposed to push anyone else, and you will be penalised for that. Frantically brushing and powdering the skis in between. You've only got 3 minutes to sort the skis out if you have to, but they'll certainly be repolishing each time.
The brushing is something over the last 10-15 years. The brushing of the ski has sort of gone up in importance.
Oh, and especially in such low humidity today. We don't often see 51% humidity. You want to keep those skis polished.
Just explain how it works, why it works, what you're trying to do.
Well, when you've got high humidity, you've got good structure, so you want to get a lot of the wicking, get the suction away from the base of the skis. Today it's very dry, and the polishing, it just slides, causes its own friction, slides over this aggressive, mostly machine-made snow.
And a lot of the brushing is to do with the oxidization of the base, and they need to get rid of that before they go out on the tracks again.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a race where it's constantly changing at the front.
Yeah, you know, you're as well in 5th, 6th place in a race developing like this. You don't know it's going to develop like this, but you might as well be somewhere where you're getting maximum protection from the wind. Up go the hands of the teammates. Not so easy when you've got 2 Swedish bibs. You've got to be able to pick out. You almost look identical, except one's got a slightly longer ponytail than the other. So off we go. Leg number 3, 2.6 kilometers completed, and each athlete, remember, going around the course 3 times. Would you like to be a first runner or a final leg runner?
Oh, I'll tell you what, that looked nothing but confusion there coming in for the handover. I think I would rather be the first athlete out.
Everyone thinks it's the final athlete that wins it, but the first athlete is the one that can shape the race by stepping up the pace, and it certainly looks as though the Swedes are trying to do something here. Ingmar's daughter working really hard, and we've got Anna Divik going with her at the moment. In fact, Anna Divik in front at the moment, Ingmar's daughter tucked in behind. Germany just behind them with Denise Herrmann, who's looked strong, and at the back there, wearing bib 4, that's the second German team with Elisabeth Schiko, comes from Schliersee.
I know we're, early stages at the moment, Patrick, but I thought we'd see the Russian team more towards the front. At the moment, they're middle pack, so a little time to pull back at the moment.
Russia with Belarukova on course at the moment. There she is, just slowly closing down that gap between the chasing pack and the top 4. Patiently done. No point putting in a sprint if you don't have to. That was Jonas Sundling from Umeå. Isn't that up on the Finnish border?
Umeå rings a bell.
Umeå, I think it's
Umeå.
Right on the Finnish border. Good racing to be had up there. A lot of the courses in Finland are really hard because of you don't have massive hills. It's like plateaus, and you basically go from the bottom to the top and back down again.
That's quite a climb over the race office, as it is competition office. And then another climb here.
So Sweden's break has been ineffectual, really. Still only some 25 meters separating the front of the group to the back. I'm slightly surprised that Divik didn't try and capitalize on the 5-6 meters that she got over the rest of the field. And having done that, Mike, you have to question whether she's going to have the strength to make a break again on her final leg. So maybe the Russians are playing a sensible game, sticking in there in the middle.
Well, that's right. They've had no real pace change. They have so far kept fairly consistent, as have a number of teams further back. You just can't get through easily.
We're halfway in this team sprint event for the women here in Toblach. And still anybody's guess as to who's going to take this one. I wonder whether we'll see any move coming in. Jakobsen has just handed over to Maiken Kaspersen-Faller, but it's Germany with Sandra Ringwald on her second lap. And when she's completed, that will be 4 of the 6. Both athletes will have 1 round left to do. 1.3 kilometers, and they're still pretty much running 3 minutes a lap. Cornering skills so important, Mike.
Very, very much. And getting the right line, being able to read those athletes around you and figuring out how to be most efficient is a huge part of sprint racing.
So still Germany leading, Norway in second place. The French bringing up the rear as they have been. Welcome back to Toblach. We're on the 4th lap of 6 in the women's team sprint event here. No changes since you've been away. Germany still leading. Norway tucked in second place. No problem so far for Faller as she just tries to read what's going on in front. Bib number 2.
You just sense, Patrick, the urgency now is really picking up. I noticed the halfway time was 9 minutes and 3 seconds. I think the next half of the race will be a little quicker.
Van der Graaf, it is bib 2 for Switzerland, of course. 3, the Russians, with Natalia Matvieva, who was part of the World Championship team sprint event up in Falun in 2015. Finished down in 5th. They were disappointed with that. And Norway, Sweden, Poland, of course, the medalists on that occasion.
Well, this pace is beginning to stretch it out, and some teams suffering. 4th, 5th back there. Russia seem to be fine with the pace so far. That's, well, Sweden punching through again.
Feindrich, or Van der Graaf, actually getting a little bit tied up with her sticks, and it's horrible when you lose that sort of momentum.
Well, Hannah Falk, I think she would try to push it through on the inside, and that's why there was a little tripping going on there.
So round the corner, this long left-hander, and then they'll switch back into the exchange box. Norway taking the lead. They've had a little try at getting away, but we'll see how they go here. Faller handing over to Jakobsen. Jakobsen now on her last loop. The Norwegians, of course, the world champions. Their team in Falun, Osberg and Faller. So only one of them still racing here today. Randall gets away for the United States. Not far off the pace, still competitive at this stage, but you cannot afford to give more than 10 metres away to the race leaders. And just look at the work rate going in from Astrid Jakobsen of Norway. Unbelievable stuff from her.
I have to say, that was the best handover we've seen. Jakobsen really picked up momentum, nearly out of the handover zone, which she would have been penalised for, but great handover.
Denise Herman has done nothing wrong so far. She's looked very good indeed. Norway 2 in 3rd place with Kristoffersen, Marta Kristoffersen, who's teamed up with Tiril Udner-Sveng. And Russia, Mike, who for much of this race have sat in the middle of the field, suddenly look as if they're interested in getting a decent performance here. Belarukova is on course for them. She'll hand back over to Natalia Matvieva for the last lap of this 1.3 kilometre course.
Yes, very talented, and when she wanted to put that, press the button of speed, she found it, and absolutely matching and passing many of those around her.
Well, it's a decent lead that Jakobsen has for Norway 1, but still a way to go. Herman's doing the job in trying to haul Norway back into this, and in the process, she's taking Russia and Sweden with her.
Well, this appears from a long way out, very decisive. Norway so far ahead at the moment.
Yeah, I guess she had no option off. She saw that she had a, 10-metre lead coming off the exchange. It would have been foolish to throw that away.
I think so. I think she had to at this stage in the race. Just 2 legs to go. This is the second last, of course. She's going to hand over to Faller, who'll take the anchor leg. I think it was the right strategy. Get a lead early.
Now, Norway 2 could do Norway 1 a favour just by road blocking, but the Russians are wise to that, and suddenly Yulia Belarukova goes through and starts to up the pace as Norway's Jakobsen goes up the final climb. Jakobsen, remember, a former world champion in the individual sprint event, so she's got pedigree.
Belarukova, she really has some tempo there. Maybe not the most efficient on skis, but she's got the fight.
Yeah, and she's closed the gap down on Jakobsen of Norway. And with her come the Swedes. Ingmar's daughter for Sweden. Hannah Falk waiting to take over from Ingmar's daughter. And Ingmar's daughter just going round on the outside. Nice move from her.
Now with Faller going, anchor leg for Norway. She was second fastest yesterday in the sprint races. Certainly a good advantage if this handover is a clean one.
Yeah, she needs to get away. She's gone a little bit too late. Some of the advantage is going to be lost. Sweden have a good handover. What about the Russians on the right-hand side? Belarukova to Matvieva, and not quite as good, the Russians, as we saw from Sweden, who have closed the gap to around 6 metres on Norway.
That wasn't a good changeover from the Russians at all. Matvieva had to stall, hold back, because she'd nearly exited the zone.
Well, there's the margin. There is the margin. 1.3 kilometres. This final leg should be well under the 3-minute marker, just over 15 minutes to the exchange, and Sweden are now in contact. Trying to get back up with the leaders is Natalia Matvieva, sitting in third place at the moment, still looking very, very comfortable on the skis. Bib number 15, that's Slovenia, with Anna Maria Lampitz down in around 6th or 7th. Still a little bit of a gap between second and third, Mike.
Well, there is. That's a huge gap, a huge margin to pull back. Just one more lap to go.
I like to see the Russian working the skis on the corner, and Matvieva actually pulling back a couple of meters on that one turn alone.
Her technique, Patrick, her tempo, she reminds me a little bit of Ushchikov, getting great force through every stride. Her technique has tidied up so much.
Yeah, and she's going for broke at the moment, and draws up alongside Sweden.
That's incredible, and it's a similar head action shoulder drop that Ushchikov shows when he's at his sprinting best.
Sandra Ringvald has got up with the leading three to make a group of four. Actually, there's still a little bit of space, but Russia are the ones that have made the most significant move on this loop so far. Remember, it is the final loop in this team sprint event, the first team sprint of the season. Sweden looking to make it 3 team sprints in succession. That would be a record, but somehow Hannah Falk is going to have to outwit Matvieva and Falla.
Well, Falla is trying. She's done all the hard work at the front. Falk has been mostly in behind her, getting an advantage.
Now, does the Norwegian have the best position, leading down the final hill? Often those behind get sucked up in the slipstream and catapulted ahead. Remember, it's a long, long left-hand turn into the finish. Still Norway leading, as they have been for the last 3 laps. Sweden go wide with Hannah Falk to try and find a way through. It's a very, very tough finish. Norway still have it at the moment. Keep an eye on Natalia Matvieva of Russia. She's very close in third. Under the banner, 100 meters to go. Norway leading from Sweden, and Russia on the left-hand side with Matvieva. She's got a great skate too, and it's Matvieva who's accelerating down the home straight. Russia with a photo finish for Sweden. Norway raced out of the 1-2, and a brilliant finish from Germany as well.
What a surprise. The Norwegians there did nothing wrong except in the most important part, the last 70 meters.
Well, that was unbelievable from Matvieva. She showed great strength to come from third. Actually, she was handed that inside lane, Mike, the shortest route to the finish, and it was open.
The door was wide open. I suppose looking at the line, you've got the momentum. Maybe Falla thought, well, let's take the middle line. That was a very, very impressive finish from Matvieva.
Yeah, I think Russia-Sweden is going to be very, very close. I think Norway were a fraction behind. Hopefully we'll see a side-on shot just to get some idea before the result of the photo. Russia are given 18:00.96, and they've been given the win. So the win goes to Russia here in Toblach. Belarukova and Matvieva, an awesome team. Now, that will get them excited before the World Championships in Lahti. Will it be this pair, or do you think they'll find another one?
I think that this is a great pairing. It's the best we've seen from Russia for a long time in the team competition. And the strategy, I think, as you said, that just in the early parts of this race, didn't go with the pace changing, just kept it steady in the middle of the pack. There's always a risk in that strategy, I think. But it played off beautifully today for the Russians.
And what do you make of the Norwegian strategy? It's a confident one. It's really throwing the gauntlet down to everyone else. They were brave enough to lead after 3 laps. They tried to break away on the 5th. They tried again on the 6th.
Falla didn't look her normal, aggressive, attacking self. And I'm not sure the skis were the best. I know that Falk. Yeah, Falk was drafting a little, but she didn't look her normal, strong self for me, Falla, the Norwegian.
So the first team sprint of the season goes to Russia, Belarukova and Matvieva, ahead of Sweden with Ingmarsdottir and Falk. And then Norway relegated to 3rd place. Jakobsen and Falla. And what a finish it was. This is the final corner. Falla for Norway drifts a little bit wide, but sort of gets squeezed out by Falk. Couldn't go for that full extension of the right leg.
She was restricted a little there, from what she could do.
And this is where Matvieva makes her move. She's so well balanced in the skate too, and looks very, very strong in the upper body as well. Take nothing away from Sandra Ringveld of Germany. She was looking for the win as well, and just left her charge, what, 4-5 meters too late. Otherwise, she would have been in the photo finish as well. Exciting stuff. Oh, that was close. Well, here is the start list for the men's final of the team sprint event in Toblach, and Sweden with Jonsson and Pedersen. They haven't had a win for a while. Norway likewise have lost the last 6. The last race, last team sprint the Norwegians won was the World Championships in Falun, in which Petter Northug played a fairly major role. That was an impressive performance by him.
You need someone like Petter Northug. His pace change that day was incredible, almost inhuman. He's a great anchor leg, and the Norwegians will be feeling the fact he's not here.
Well, the team's starting to take their positions at the start. Again, it's a team of 2, 3 laps each, so 6 times 1.3 kilometers, exactly the same course as we've just seen the women race. The women's winning time just about 18 minutes. This will be certainly a minute, probably a minute and a half quicker. It may be even faster than that, depending on how the race runs. Mike, the women's pace for the first 3 laps was fairly pedestrian, and then Norway started to wind it up.
I was a little surprised, to be honest, because it allowed all 15 teams to pack together for 2 of the rotations, 2 of the 6 effective laps, and I was a little surprised. I think we'll see it more attacking in the men's field from the start.
Well, while they line up, just to update you on the World Cup standings after yesterday's event, Sundby, Ustiagov, Heikkinen are the top 3 in the World Cup standings. You have to go a long way down the list before you come to any of the sprinters. All the distance men after the points haul that they got in the Tour de Ski. Harvey, Helner, Cologne 4, 5, 6. Magnificat of France, the best of the French in 7th, and Krog of Norway in 8th position. So Norway with 1, 8 and 9 in the men's World Cup standings. In terms of the sprints, the number 1 sprinter this year is Paul Goldberg, and he goes in the Norwegian team for this team sprint event. And actually Goldberg relegated to Norway too after a disappointing sprint yesterday. Skår and Kleibo, the 2 selected for Norway 1. Finland 2 there. Brunen and Jila wearing bib number 16. Team 12, that's Norway with Toblach and Paul Goldberg. Well, I wonder if they can come through and beat Norway too. Norway consistently on the podium, but as I mentioned, it's 6 team sprints since they had a win. Again, a long hold for the start. So away they go. Let's just go through some of the teams. Team 1 is Nokla and Pellegrino from Italy on home snow. You can see them just over on the right-hand side of the picture. Nokla, not surprisingly, taking the first leg for them. They'll leave the master of the sprint, Pellegrino, to wrap this one up. He's got a very good chance of taking the win for them. Norway won with Skår and Kleibo, as we mentioned. Sweden won wearing 7, Vestberg and Svensson. And we got Finland won with Hakola and Strandval.
Well, it has gone out fast at the front, at least. There's no chance when you're further back at this stage to find much attack.
The team in Santa colours, that's the Canadians, with Len Valius on course. 2 28-year-olds racing for Canada. Valius teamed up with Alex Harvey. Now, Alex Harvey was part of the World Championship winning team in the team sprint all the way back in 2011.
Oh, well,
was it Devon Kershaw? I think Devon Kershaw was his partner on that occasion.
I think it was Devon. And I've always said with Harvey, he's such a good tactician in these events. I mean, if he's not tired from the efforts last week, then I don't know who. He's superhuman with the efforts he put into the Tour de Ski. But he's a very, very good tactician.
and they put Alex Harvey second. Is that to give him an extra 3 minutes rest after his Tour de Ski efforts, or do you think it's something because of his tactical awareness?
I think it's his awareness, and he's so relaxed. You know, he leaves things to the last minute. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. But Len Valias, I must say, looked very strong up that first climb.
The United States have got Andrew Newell and Simeon Hamilton. Hamilton having a tremendous day yesterday, getting second place in the individual sprint behind Sindre Skor, and sandwiched between two Norwegians, actually, Skor and Kleibo first and third. Pellegrino missing out on the podium.
Surprised, yeah, knocked down to fourth. And what about Andrew Young? He qualified 19th, moved up to 16th yesterday. I think that was another good performance from Andrew. Went for Group 5. Not, maybe he'll think another time. And he had two strong contenders in Group 5, but it's good to see him back and the health issues behind him.
Yeah, he's had a tough ride this season, but he's the real deal in terms of sprinting. Looked good in the first stage of the Tour de Ski. Looked very, very strong there, but was still trying to get over the illness that he suffered early season. Finland leading the way around the corner and into the first exchange. And Team 16 with Vuorinen, Larry Vuorinen, handing over to Martti Ilhai. He's first. Jonsson in for Sweden. Toblach of Norway is there. Skor away now.
It's such a small, short handover pen. I would like to see that extended. Then we might see some different strategies in the changeover pen.
Are you surprised they haven't adopted handover techniques like we see in the short track speed skating?
I've seen it a number of times actually in biathlon relays. The Americans used to adopt that kind of changeover. I mean, it's not daft, because all your momentum from the incoming athlete is put into the athlete starting out. I am surprised it hasn't evolved more that way. If you can gain half a second, why not?
You might have picked out the French team there pretty much in the middle of the group. Lucas Chavanard was on the first lap for them, and now Baptiste Gros is there. Black suit generally indicates Switzerland. Chard and Cologne, that's Gianluca, the younger brother of Dario, who's racing on the second leg for the Swiss. Switzerland 2, and Ferger and Heidegger taking Switzerland 1. Svensson going through for Sweden, who's fourth in the under-23 World Cup rankings. You can see him with the number 7 on his back. Finished 10th yesterday, so he's got a bright future, I think.
Well, I didn't notice that, sorry. Newell been given the yellow card. He can't make any further mistakes.
Newell there with number 15, as I'm sure you're aware. And again, the pace certainly not 100% from the leaders, and on the flatter sections, that's where everyone's managing to catch up. A little bit of a concertina effect as they work hard on the climb, but it seems daft to do that if you're not going to use it and work hard on the flat as well.
Well, certainly not going slowly at all. I think it has been more aggressive the first 2 times around, and on the in the women's field. And the only thing now is actually it will pick up more dynamic as the race goes on.
Well, it's quite difficult to pick a winner, isn't it, Mike? Jonsson and Pedersen look strong for Sweden. And then Nukla, Pellegrino. Well, if the Italians are in the top 4 or 5 at the final exchange, you'd fancy Pellegrino to try and make up for his mistakes yesterday when, as we mentioned, he was pushed down into 4th place. 2 laps completed, 4 still to go, and the time on the clock 5:23. So we are looking for a finish time of somewhere around the 16-minute mark, maybe a little bit over.
Yeah, interesting how to pick a winning team. On paper, you immediately go to Skor and Kleibo, Team 14. They were first and third yesterday in the individual out-and-out sprint. But then you never can tell in these team sprint competitions.
Len Valias moving up alongside the Russians. Russia with Gafarov and Kryakov. That's a very, very strong team. I think Do you think Russia are better at the classic sprints or the freestyle?
My instinct says classic.
If we wind the clock back to Vancouver 2010, they were certainly in a class of their own in the classic sprints.
They had prepared so thoroughly for that, and then of course the Norwegians raised their game once they were defeated there.
Toblach, another member of Lillehammer Ski Club, plenty of talented skiers in that area to feed off, and plenty of good coaches there as well, which is so important. And just as the snow's arrived in the Alps, the Scandinavian countries have had a good dumping of snow over the last week or so. It's been a long wait for them, so everyone's slightly behind in terms of snow conditions.
I suppose my biggest surprise is seeing the American team at the back. I thought that it's a good combination, Newell and Hamilton. He was second yesterday, but they've kept out of the way and efficient at the back.
Well, Norway they made the break in the women's race, and it looks as though they're trying to do the damage here. Team 12.
Well,
Harvard, Togbol.
Have they created these moves too early? It's still very early in the race, not even halfway.
Yeah, is he strong enough to try and get away? He's, what was he, 22nd in the Sprint World Cup standings last year. 6th yesterday, so confidence is obviously high from Togbol. He's not shaken his compatriot off, Sindre Scott, just watching every single move he makes. And the Russians have got a reputation in sprinting. They're strong, they're canny.
These handovers, this is quite chaotic in this little pen.
Well, it's wide enough. It's much wider than we've seen. Are you saying it should be wider, or do you think it should be longer?
I think it should be longer, and then then they'll at least separate. You've just got this wall of people, and you can't really identify where your teammate is.
Well, the other answer is to cut the number of teams down to 10.
Maybe that's the way to go.
At the moment, the qualifying only eradicates a couple of teams, so you could say that's not even worthwhile, and you don't get good racing.
No, that's true. I'm just thinking all the hard work done by the two Norwegians just has been lost because the pace has backed right off.
And it's Morilov of Russia going through, Ferger with an obstruction. Welcome back to Toblach. The team's on their 4th lap. And Russia
pile up.
Now that's one of the Swedish teams gone down. In fact, it's Theodor Pedersen who's gone down. He gets a fresh pole fairly early on, but he's lost some 40, 50, 60 metres to the race leaders, and surely that is Sweden's second team out of the running. Well, we need to see a replay to see exactly what happened. Now keep an eye on Sweden. Well, Pedersen's unlucky. 2 men went down in front of him. Actually, his teammate did well to jump out of the way. I think that was Germany with Thomas Bing getting in the way, Mike.
Well, that was incredible. When the man in front of you goes down, you have no chance. And the giant Pedersen, that was some fall. And if they come back from that, it'll be extraordinary.
Russia 1 and 2 starting to wind it up. Nikolai Morilov racing for Russia 2. Well, again, Norway bold enough to try and lead this out, Mike. It didn't work in the women's race, and it was the Russians who closed them down. Russia sort of just keeping an eye on the Norwegians.
I think this kind of performance would work if their teammates kept the momentum and kept this slight advantage, but they have to press very, very hard.
And having put all the donkey work in on your last lap, you know, on your penultimate lap, it's hard to do it again. So 4 down, 2 still to go, 10:38 on the clock, still on schedule for a 16 and a half minute finish. Just coming out at a leisurely pace. That's Switzerland too, with Gianluca Colonia, I think, realising that his day is over. Away goes Emil Jonsson. He'll give it everything to try and catch the leaders, but unless the pace slows at the front, that is not going to happen.
It's not going to happen, and I thought Pedersen was very pedestrian coming in there. He wasn't really in a big hurry to hand over after that fall, which was really, really anchoring him back. It's gone frantic now all over this race. At the front, in the middle, at the back.
Switzerland in 5th place at the moment, behind 2 Norwegians and 2 Russians. Germany at the back of the field. Eisenlauer and Bing, Germany's team. Thomas Bing, who really impressed on the Tour de Ski early on, put in some fine performances, particularly in Val Moster. So, time for some tactics. Norway still have the lead. They've got 1st and 2nd at the moment, but they don't have any breathing space whatsoever.
Look at the tempo. Steepest part of the climb. We're watching the same fall. Pellegrino, he looks a little injured.
Is that Federico Pellegrino who went down? I thought it might have been the Swiss, but it was the dark suit of the Italians, and that is a disaster. Don't forget, Knockler and Pellegrino, not only the bronze medalists from the World Championships, but they were looking to become the first team since 2010 to win 2 successive team sprints. It's not going to happen now. I don't think we're going to see Pellegrino racing the final leg. That's a huge shame for the Italians. They'd love to have won this one, but hopefully he'll recover in time. We will see. He's nursing that left wrist.
Tell you what, he'll be a brave man if he gets out there. Of course, he's got another minute or so to organise himself. Well, it's stretched the field out. This is a big, strong pace at the front now.
I'm just looking for Dietmar Pellegrino. I think he's in around 6th place. There he is, wearing bib number 1. So Knockler's still well positioned. Is Pellegrino in there? Yes, he is. So he's going to give it a go, wearing bib number 1 over on the left-hand side. We'll see if he can stay with the pace. So pretty much even Stevens as they come away. The French get the lead for the first time in this race. I'm not sure they want it at this stage. Baptiste Gros will have to think long and hard about the tactics on this final loop. Great work from the Italians. They've been going well. Alex Harvey now taking over from Len Valius on this last lap, and Switzerland, who we saw getting involved in that fall earlier on. Gianluca Cologna goes, but he's a long way behind. Team 4, Jonsson handing over to Pedersen. They're out of it. They won't catch the guys at the front.
Well, it's backed off again. There's nothing in this race. Whoever gets the strategy right here is it's certainly going to help the performance.
So if it's me, Mike, I'm looking for 3rd position on the final descent before they come down into the stadium.
As the ideal attack point?
Well, I think so. I can't see anyone getting clean by the top of the last climb. Baptiste Gros is the man trying to step the pace up, but as he does so, Sweden respond, and Oscar Svensson goes for a big one. The under-23 athlete who's got a really rosy future. Won a Scandinavian Cup in Lahti recently, so we know he can go the distance, and he's showing good stamina here, but he's gone very early. Look at Pellegrino, he's still in there looking for the win.
Well, you often see with an injury, some adrenaline comes to that part of the body. Whatever happened to Pellegrino, he is on fire. Svensson attacked that bridge, so strong at the front.
So Svensson, Pellegrino, Alex Harvey for Canada is still in there in the red suit, and the Norwegians aren't out of it quite yet. Still pushing hard around that top corner is Paul Goldberg, who's the World Cup leader in the sprint.
Look at Alex Harvey, that was a dynamic change of pace. He won't want the lead here, or will he?
Well, he's, of all the athletes here, he's probably the best over the 15k distance, and racing in such quick succession. You could argue that this suits the endurance athletes more than it suits the out-and-out sprinters.
Well, you know, he had a couple of metres advantage there. In fact, they're likely to hold that back in, or at least Svensson is. He's going to go wide. He has to go wide.
Harvey brave enough to lead round the final corner and down the final downhill. Into the home straight first goes Alex Harvey. Now a chance to repeat the success we saw from him back in 2011 in Oslo. And Alex Harvey is away and clear. Svensson can't stay with him. Coming strong on the inside is Pellegrino of Italy. But Pellegrino has to settle for 3rd. It's a photo finish, but my goodness, how tight is that? Norway in 4, I think, with Norway 2 ahead of Norway 1. run. Goldberg just getting the better of Kleibo in the finish. There'll be a little ribbing in the Norwegian team tonight, but no doubt about the winning team. Len Valius, Alex Harvey from Canada. Astonishing.
I think what Alex Harvey did there was outstanding. His attack up the final steep climb, I thought he was brave going to the front early, and he kind of kept the ski pole, maybe, I don't know, maybe not intentionally, but he kept the ski pole out, so they had no chance of coming around him.
Len Valius delighted, big smile on his face. 5 podiums in his career, but he'll probably enjoy this more than any of them. Comes from Toronto. Did 4 stages of the Tour de Ski. His partner did the whole lot of the Tour, so to recover in a week and produce a performance like that, even more amazing. And maybe it was a tactical move, but Harvey went quite early, Mike. He went on the final climb. He used skate 2 all the way to the top, which is likely to have developed more lactate than switching to a lower gear.
Quite amazing. That's an unusual strategy. Normally he leaves it till the last 150, but it worked. It absolutely worked. It isn't, you can see, an advantage if you've got a gap behind you to lead into that first bend. Medvedev was in 3rd place and came through to win.
Pellegrino just missed the podium yesterday in 4th. He's on today in 3rd place. Not the win that he would have wanted, but there's the winning team. They don't come that often in the team sprint events. Must be the twin Tashes that has done the trick. I thought Movember finished a long time ago.
And I did notice that Pellegrino still nursing his left arm there at the finish, but didn't he do well?
Yeah, I hope he hasn't done any damage that's going to affect his bid for the Sprint World Cup later in the season.
What about Norway? The 2 anchor legs for both the Norwegian teams, they didn't really get in the mix. They didn't get in the action. They were handed over to at the front, but they couldn't stay with it.
Yeah, but what about laps 3 and 4? They made their move on laps 3 and 4. It's fine if you break away, but then if you're involved in a sprint at the finish, your chances are that much reduced.
Strange, isn't it? If you go that hard, you often burn your bridges for later. And Alex Harvey and Valias, they never got really in too much pace changing or attacking for the front early on.
Yeah, these guys can cope with a fair amount of acid in the legs, but everyone has a limit, and I suspect they reached it early on. Pellegrino, he's still a dangerous force, but not dominating the sprint quite like he did last year. Vesberg and Svensson for Sweden in 2nd place, delighted with their performances. Vesberg only 24. Comes from Boras, he skis for Boras Ski Club, which I think is very close to Falun.
I think it's in that region. Well, Svensson, he'll be feeling good for the World Championships coming up.
And the Italians on the right, Nukla, the taller of the 2, Pellegrino, he's small, but he's lightning quick. Well, there's the finish. Harvey, no need to lunge. He was away and clear. Made it look easy. Seven wins in his career, Alex Harvey, prior to today. And look at that, 16:02. The top 4 teams only separated by 1.12 seconds. A tight finish indeed. The days of being able to get away in the team sprint seem to have gone.